Singing Blog 2. What did you do to warm up your voice today? In today's lesson, we started with our stretches, where we stood in neutral, facing forward, and then we took our chins over our shoulders as far as we can. We took a big breath in, and then on the outward breath, we pushed our chins further over our shoulders as far as we can, just a little bit further than before. That stretches the muscles sort of in the neck, gently warming up the vocal cords. And in addition to that, we did some buzzing noises. So it's sort of like a zzz. And what that does, it vibrates the vocal cords very gently. And sort of gets them warmed up nice and slowly, ready for singing in the morning. And then after that, we looked again at the Alexander technique, where we lay on the floor in supine position with our legs bent, imagining that balloon is in our stomach, breathing in, pushing our diaphragms right down, taking up all the air that we can, and then breathing out. We looked at how that's healthy for the vocal cords. So what we don't want when we're singing, is for our vocal cords to bash together. So we need to have as much air coming out when we're singing as possible, so that the vocal cords are just vibrating nice and gently, and they're not bashing together and damaging our vocal cords. So that exercise is all about breath control. And then we again looked at sob, twang and speech quality as a warm-up exercise, like we did last week and in previous weeks as well. Other exercises that we did today, we took over as a group and did our own warm-ups. There was a warm-up called I Like the Flowers, which Becky Burton did. And that was all about sort of singing in time with each other and just a nice little exercise. And then we did some scales. So Bella Signora is the exercise that I brought to the group, which is about scales. We did a warm-up exercise called Mars bars, which again is about scales and going up and down. So that's how we warmed up today. Describe the tasks set for the session. So we're not far from our final performance now. And so in today's session, we firstly were looking at Tell Me It's Not True, going over what we did last week, going over the harmonies for that, making sure that we all know what harmonies we're doing, making sure we all know the words, just practicing that really. And then we looked at our next ensemble piece, which is new, which is Dancing Queen by ABBA. So we sang that as a class. We added in some harmonies for that. So we've got the lower harmony, the tune, and then the higher harmonies. And I was on the lower harmony to start with, and then I moved over to the higher harmony later on when I found that I was more comfortable doing the higher harmony. So I went on to that. And then later on in the day, we looked at our solo pieces. And we got the microphone out and we all performed our solo pieces to each other. And I've decided now that my solo piece is going to be Being Alive from Company. And that's my final choice. So that's the one that I performed today in front of the class. And we gave and received feedback to each other from that. We went over Skid Row today, but we didn't do the blocking. We just stood up as a class and sang it, making sure that we all knew the harmonies and the words and things like that. So we didn't do the movement to Skid Row today. We just did a sing through of that. Describe your rehearsal, performance and the progress you have made here. If you are observing another performance, do the same for another student. Okay, so in the morning session, when we worked together as a class, our tutor was really happy with the progress that we made, especially in Dancing Queen, where we'd not been working for very long. She did, however, think that we needed to look more at harmonies in Dancing Queen. She was helping us with that because it was quite new. It's quite understandable, really. So in the morning, we were making progress with Dancing Queen. Our tutor was helping us with harmonies. And then in the afternoon, we were working still as a group, but more independently, looking at our individual songs, preparing ourselves for our solo pieces or our duet pieces, whatever it is we were doing. And then we came back together as a big class to observe each other and to watch each other back and to give feedback, and to also look at how we were putting in the techniques that we have been learning in the morning. So Alexander technique, and then sob, twang, speech quality, all those techniques. We were looking at how people have been adding them in, or maybe how they could add them in to make their songs a bit better. So that's sort of what we've been doing in this session, and that's the progress that we've been making there. What was your feedback today? As I just mentioned, our tutor said that we were really nice. We sounded really good in Dancing Queen. She was happy with the progress that we were making, but she was looking at harmonies with us, making sure that we were doing them properly, making sure that we were getting the right harmonies for the right sound. In the afternoon, when we sang our songs, I sung my solo Being Alive, and this is some of the feedback that I got for that. So I was told I had good breath control, strong lungs, good use of dynamics, good projection, good use of libretto, good use of microphone. But I was told I need to learn the lyrics because I was using my lyrics for that. And my tutor said that I need to soften the accent, particularly on the G. So being, I need to soften that G, just because my accent was very sort of Derbyshire, and she wants me to look at that. And she also wants me to pronounce the A instead of the I in Alive. And avoid using twang there. She said I was using twang for that, and she wants me to avoid that. So sort of being alive instead of being alive. So it's sort of alive, like pronouncing the A, alive, instead of pronouncing the I, sort of there. So I need to focus on that. So that's the feedback I got for my song. What exercises and songs do you plan to rehearse at home to help improve your vocal technique? So I quite liked my exercise of Bella Signora that I brought to the session. That helps me to warm up my voice quite a lot. So I'm going to keep using that exercise. I also like the sort of the gentle buzzing of my vocal cords exercise that we did to gently warm up my voice. So I think I'm going to keep using that as well. I'm going to keep using Alexander technique to help me with my breath control, to help me hold those long notes that I've got in Being Alive and to reach the high notes as well. I'm going to keep using that, so I find that a very useful technique. So I'm going to be looking at Being Alive in a lot more detail now that that's my chosen piece. I'm going to be looking at that. I'm going to be looking at the feedback, so the accents that I need to look at, and also holding that A sound instead of that I sound in Being Alive. I need to really practice that as well. So I'm going to look at my feedback, what I'm going to do is video myself doing it how I would, and then video myself adding in the feedback and making changes and see the difference and compare them just for my own benefit, really, to help me to make those changes. And I did enjoy performing Gimme Gimme, which is a song I was going to do as well, and it's in my previous blog, but I've decided not to take that further in terms of the performance and for this unit. I just feel that Being Alive has got a lot more for me to go with, and it's a lot more challenging for me, and I enjoy performing it a lot more. And I will also be doing Take Me or Leave Me as well, with Amy as a duet. So I'll be practicing that at home, looking at harmonies for that, and making sure that all the harmonies are tightened up correctly. To-do list. So I'm going to look at the harmonies in more detail for Take Me or Leave Me. I'm going to look at the feedback which I got for Being Alive, and I'm going to practice my song with that. Practice softening the G on the being, looking at the accent, and then pronouncing the A instead of the I in Alive, and rounding that sound out and avoid using twang in Being Alive. I'm going to learn my lyrics for Being Alive for next session. And I'm going to practice the Bella Signora technique that I brought to the session. And I'm going to keep looking over the Alexander technique, sob, twang and speech quality, and where I should and shouldn't use these 3 techniques in my songs. So, like I said, my tutor said I need to avoid using twang in Being Alive. So looking at where is appropriate and where isn't appropriate to use it, to use those 3 techniques in my chosen songs.